The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm, golden glow over the backyard where laughter and chatter filled the air. It was a perfect Sunday for a family gathering, and the familiar scent of grilled burgers wafted through the warm breeze. As relatives arrived, hugs and jokes were exchanged, setting a cheerful tone for the evening. In the center of the yard, an old wooden table was set up, covered with a colorful tablecloth. Around it sat several family members, each one eager to show off their card skills. "Who's ready for a little competition?" Grandma called out with a playful grin, her eyes twinkling mischievously. The game was a family tradition, passed down through generations, and everyone knew the rules or thought they did. Uncle Joe leaned back in his chair, his booming laughter making everyone feel at ease. "You better watch out," he warned his niece. "I've been practicing." The sound of shuffling cards mixed with excited chatter created an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Each player brought their own unique style to the table. Aunt Lisa's careful strategy, Cousin Mia's wild bluffs, and Grandpa's old-fashioned tactics. The stakes seemed low at first. It was just a game after all. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the yard, an underlying tension began to build. Unspoken rivalries and past grudges lurked beneath the surface of their laughter, hinting that this friendly competition might turn into something more serious as night fell. As the last rays of sunlight faded, the mood around the table shifted. What had started as light-hearted banter began to crack under the weight of unspoken tension. The atmosphere thickened, and an uneasy silence crept in as Cousin Mark dealt the cards for the next round. He had always been competitive, and his eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and challenge. "I hope you remember what happened last year, Aunt Lisa," Mark said with a sly grin, recalling a previous game that had ended in a bitter argument. His words hung in the air like a storm cloud, stirring up memories of past grievances. Aunt Lisa's smile faltered as she shot him a glare, her lips tightening. "Let's keep it friendly, shall we?" Grandma interjected, trying to lighten the mood but sensing the tension was already too thick to cut. Yet it was too late. The mention of old wounds had ignited sparks of rivalry. Cousin Mia chimed in, "Well, if we're talking about last year, let's not forget who knocked Uncle Joe out first." Laughter followed, but it felt forced. Uncle Joe chuckled along but shot Mia a warning look, reminding her that family honor was at stake. With each card played, stakes rose higher than just bragging rights. Pride and family legacy were on the line. The playful competition transformed into a battlefield where every move could spark another round of conflict, making even simple plays feel like high-stakes gambles. The players around the table each brought their own unique flair to the game, and their relationships added layers of intrigue to the unfolding drama. At the head of the table sat Grandma Rose, the matriarch who had instilled a love for card games in her family. With her keen sense of strategy, she had guided her children and grandchildren through countless rounds, often winning with a smile. Yet today, she could feel the tension building and hoped to keep the peace. To her left was Uncle Joe, whose loud laughter and playful demeanor often masked his fiercely competitive nature. He was a jokester at heart, but deep down, he carried the weight of past losses that added to his determination to win. Across from him sat Cousin Mia, known for her unpredictable bluffs and quick wit. While younger than most at the table, she was determined to prove herself, not just as a player but as someone worthy of the family name. Then there was Aunt Lisa, whose calm exterior belied her fierce ambition. In previous games, she had often clashed with Mark over strategy and outcomes, leading to fiery arguments that lingered long after the cards were put away. Mark himself was no stranger to rivalry. His competitive spirit sometimes pushed him to take risks that could backfire. Amidst these personalities, old wounds began to reopen. Each player's desire for victory revealed deeper motivations rooted in family honor, ensuring that this card game would be anything but simple. As the first round of cards was dealt, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Grandma Rose carefully examined her hand, her eyes narrowing in concentration. "Let's see what you all have," she said, her voice steady but laced with excitement. The game began, and with each player taking their turn, the atmosphere shifted from tension to playful jabs. Uncle Joe led off confidently, playing a bold card and declaring, "I hope everyone's ready for this." His laughter echoed around the table as he leaned back, clearly enjoying his moment. Cousin Mia quickly followed, tossing down her own card with a cheeky grin. "You better watch out. My luck is about to change," she teased, aiming to rattle Uncle Joe. Aunt Lisa played strategically, watching both Mia and Joe closely. "Careful, Mia. You don't want to go all in too early," she warned, half smiling as she laid down a strong pair. Mark watched intently, sizing up everyone's reactions. He knew Aunt Lisa was a formidable opponent and hoped to catch her off guard with a surprise move later. As the round progressed, small victories sparked laughter, while deeper rivalries simmered beneath friendly exchanges. Each player exchanged banter that hinted at old grudges and past defeats. Yet every smile masked a determination to come out on top. Their voices carried an edge that foreshadowed rising tensions ahead. With every card played, it became clearer that this game would not just be about fun. It was a battle for family pride that could ignite at any moment. As the second round began, the mood took a sharp turn. The tension that had been brewing finally erupted when Mark played a card that Aunt Lisa had been counting on. "Really, Mark? You had to do that?" she snapped, her voice rising above the soft murmur of the others. Mark shrugged, a smirk playing on his lips. "It's just a game, Lisa. Maybe you should try being less predictable," he replied, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Aunt Lisa's cheeks flushed with anger. "Predictable? You're just jealous because I beat you last year. You always have to ruin everything for everyone else." Her words cut through the light-hearted atmosphere like a knife, and the other players fell silent, eyes darting between the two. "Ruin everything? You're the one who can't handle losing," Mark shot back. "Maybe if you focused more on your cards instead of holding grudges from last year, you wouldn't be in this situation." The air crackled with tension as Uncle Joe attempted to interject. "Come on, guys, it's just a game. Let's lighten up," he urged, but his words fell on deaf ears. Cousin Mia, unable to stay silent, chimed in. "This isn't just about cards. It's about your pride," she exclaimed, clearly impacted by the heated exchange. As accusations flew and voices grew louder, Grandma Rose felt a sinking sensation in her stomach. What was supposed to be a fun family night was spiraling into chaos, and she feared for the bonds that had held them together so long. As emotions ran high, the next round felt charged with nervous energy. Mark, eager to regain control of the game after his earlier clash with Aunt Lisa, decided to make a bold move. With a confident smile, he played an unexpected wild card, aiming to shake up the entire game. "This one's a game changer," he declared, laying down his card with a flourish. The table fell silent as Aunt Lisa's eyes widened in disbelief. "You've got to be kidding me," she exclaimed, her voice rising again as confusion rippled among the players. Uncle Joe shook his head in disbelief. "That was reckless, Mark. You're risking it all on a whim." Cousin Mia sat frozen, torn between shock and admiration for Mark's audacity. Meanwhile, Grandma Rose clutched her cards tighter, sensing a shift that could push the family further toward discord. Mark leaned back, enjoying the collective gasp of his family. "Why play safe when you can win big?" he smirked, but the mock bravado did little to ease the tension. Rather, it intensified it. Aunt Lisa glared at him, indignation flooding her features. "You think that's clever? You just made this personal." Her hands slammed the table as she stood up, knocking over her drink and spilling it across the cards. The moment hung in the air like an electric charge. Mark's bold play had crossed a line and unleashed a wave of anger. The friendly game transformed into a battlefield where emotions overshadowed strategy, and the fragile bonds that held them together threatened to snap under pressure. As the game progressed, the atmosphere turned increasingly hostile, setting off a chain reaction of emotional fallout. With the stakes now raised sky-high, each family member confronted unspoken feelings and grievances that had long simmered beneath the surface. Aunt Lisa, her anger still fresh from Mark's reckless play, couldn't hold back any longer. "You think you can just waltz in here and dominate? This isn't just a game to me?" she accused, tears of frustration welling in her eyes. Mark met her gaze defiantly, but a flicker of doubt crept in. Maybe if you weren't so caught up in the past, you could see it differently, he shot back, regretting his words even as they left his mouth. The tension between them was palpable, a rift that seemed to widen with every accusation thrown. Cousin Mia tried to mediate but only added fuel to the fire. We're family. Why can't we just have fun? This is ridiculous, she shouted, feeling torn between her loyalty to both sides. Uncle Joe threw up his hands in disbelief. Can't we focus on the game instead of airing dirty laundry? We're losing sight of what matters. As emotions boiled over, Grandma Rose felt helpless in the eye of the storm. The cheerful family gathering had devolved into an arena of broken trust and hurt feelings, revealing deep-seated wounds that had been hidden away for too long. What had started as a simple game transformed into a harsh confrontation that jeopardized their precious family ties, leaving nothing but lingering uncertainty in its wake. The tension at the table reached a boiling point as Aunt Lisa's frustration finally exploded into a shocking revelation. You think you can just act like this is a game? She shouted, her voice trembling with emotion. You've always needed to be the center of attention, Mark, just like when you stole my graduation spotlight. Silence fell over the group, each player absorbing her words like a slap to the face. Mark's expression shifted from defiance to shock as memories of that day flooded back. That was years ago. I thought we had moved on, he protested, anger and confusion mixing in his tone. Joe attempted to defuse the situation, but his efforts only fueled the fire. Why don't we focus on what really matters? This is about family, he said, but it felt like throwing water on an inferno. The atmosphere crackled with unresolved bitterness as Mia interjected. This isn't just about the game anymore. It never was. We're here tearing each other apart. Her voice quivered, reflecting the fear that their family might shatter apart right before her eyes. Then Grandma Rose stood up, her voice steady but filled with authority. Enough! This was supposed to bring us together, not tear us apart, she declared. But her words felt inadequate against the weight of years of unaddressed pain. In that moment, as accusations swirled and feelings spilled out, it became clear that this was not simply a card game. It had become a stage for all their hidden resentments, threatening to irrevocably change their family dynamics forever. In the aftermath of the explosive confrontation, an uneasy silence settled over the table. The laughter and excitement that had once filled the air were replaced by heavy hearts and introspection. Aunt Lisa looked down at her cards, her mind racing with regret. I didn't mean to bring up the past like that, she whispered, feeling the weight of her words settle heavily on her chest. Mark, still reeling from the exchange, took a deep breath. I thought we were over that. I just wanted to play, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The realization hit him hard. Their family had been so caught up in competition that they had lost sight of what truly mattered. Cousin Mia broke the silence, her voice trembling. We're family. Why do we let these old grudges come between us? Her eyes sparkled with unshed tears as she glanced between Mark and Aunt Lisa, desperate for understanding and reconciliation. Grandma Rose cleared her throat, her heart aching for the rift that had formed among her loved ones. Family honor isn't about winning or losing. It's about supporting each other through thick and thin, she said softly. Her words hung in the air, urging everyone to reflect on their actions. As they sat in silence, contemplating Grandma's wisdom and their own behavior, an overwhelming sense of regret washed over them. They realized that this game was never just about cards. It was a mirror reflecting their strained relationships. In that moment of reflection, they began to understand that healing would take more than just apologies. It would require rekindling the love and unity that had long defined their family. As the silence lingered, Aunt Lisa finally broke the tension with a soft, I'm truly sorry for how I reacted. I let the game get to me and brought up things that should have stayed in the past. Her voice wavered, but the sincerity in her words hung in the air like a fragile truce. Mark looked up, guilt washing over him. I'm sorry too. I've been selfish, trying to win instead of focusing on us. This game should never have become this. His admission opened a door for others to share their feelings, and one by one, they began to reflect on their actions. Cousin Mia wiped away tears, adding, "We all let our pride get in the way. It feels like we lost sight of what really matters, our family." Uncle Joe nodded in agreement, his jovial demeanor replaced with a solemn understanding. "We're stronger together than apart, and we need to remember that." Grandma Rose watched with hope as her family continued to express remorse and understanding. "Let's promise to support each other from now on," she suggested. "Family honor means lifting each other up, not defeating one another." As they nodded in agreement, a renewed commitment filled the table. They all realized that they could start anew. The game wasn't over. They could still play, but this time with laughter and love guiding their hearts. They cleared the cards away and replaced them with snacks and drinks, deciding that the next round would focus on enjoying each other rather than competing. In that moment of unity, their bonds were reaffirmed, allowing them to move forward together, stronger and more connected than ever before.